Welcome back to Dead Frequency Radio. From the world of the unexplained, we are your hosts, Liz
and Aaron. Tonight we're switching things up a little. No haunted prisons, no deep dives, just us, our gear, and the tools that keep us up at night.
Yep, we always get messages like, what's that thing beeping? Or how do you even know a ghost is around? So tonight we're showing you the equipment we use and what actually happens when you turn it on in a haunted place.
This one is part story time, part show and tell, and maybe part therapy session for how often our batteries die for no reason.
Always when something's about to happen.
Let's start simple. The EMF meter. This little guy measures electromagnetic fields, basically the invisible energy that's around us. Anything electrical can set it off, your phone, wiring, Wi-Fi, or even certain types of rocks.
Right, so it's not automatically ghost detected. We use it to find baselines first. Walk around, see what normal readings are. Then, if something spikes later when we're asking questions, that's when we start paying attention.
And that's exactly what happened at Pickens County Jail. We were standing near those old iron bars. No power was in that room at all at the time. And the meter lit up when we asked, is someone here with us?
It held steady too, not just a blip. That's when it feels like a response instead of a random interference. Okay, next up, the spirit box. This one's polarizing. It scans through AM and FM frequencies really fast, and the theory is that spirits can use those little bursts of white noise to form words.
When you first turn the spirit box on, it kind of sounds very chaotic, just like radio static. But then you'll hear a voice that cuts through perfectly, saying something clear like leave or your name. And then when you hear something like that, that's kind of when you're like, no, maybe something's coming through.
When it says something completely random like sandwich, and you're like, okay, maybe they're just hungry.
We've had hits that made 0 sense, but we've also had answers that lined up perfectly, like the same voice coming through multiple times, same tone, multiple questions in a row.
And then there's the digital recorder. It's one of the simplest tools, but honestly, one of the creepiest. You leave it running while you talk, ask questions, and when you play it back later, sometimes you hear something you didn't hear in the moment.
And that's what we call an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. And those can get under your skin. Like we've called whispers, names, whistling, footsteps, even laughter.
One of the first times we tried it, we got a low male voice saying, "Get out." And the thing is, neither of us heard anything when we were standing there.
That's the kind of stuff that kind of sits in your mind and can keep you up late wondering if you were actually alone or if there was someone around you just couldn't see.
Yeah, like REM Pods. These are those little round devices that light up and beep when something breaks the field around them.
They're cool in theory, but they're also super sensitive. You can set one off by walking past it or even static in the air.
Exactly. We use them, but we always double check. Like, did a breeze move something? Did our equipment cause interference? It's about finding patterns, not jumping at every beep.
Then we have the Ovulus. The Ovulus is the one that spits out words from a built-in dictionary supposedly controlled by spirits.
I have mixed feelings about that one. Half the time it says something like banana, and the other half it'll say murder, and everyone freaks out.
I call it the ghostly Mad Libs machine, but every once in a while it'll drop a word that fits a little too perfectly with what's going on. I have always been curious about SLS cameras, those 3D light mapping ones. Imagine catching a full body apparition in 3D. The detail would probably be insane. We've never used one, but it's definitely on our paranormal wish list.
And temperature guns. Those are underrated. Setting cold spots still freak me out, especially when it's just one spot and everything else is normal.
And I really think that the key with that is context. One spike or one temperature change doesn't necessarily prove anything, but when multiple tools react at the same time, that's when we pay attention.
Okay, let's tell a couple of moments where the gear actually did something we couldn't explain.
So I'll start. Remember that night at the cemetery when we were asking for names and the spirit box kept saying Martha, Martha, Martha. And then as we passed by a headstone with the name Martha, the EMF meter went insane.
Yeah, that was one of those jaw-dropping moments. Total goosebumps.
And it didn't just happen once. It repeated like multiple times, same tone. That's when you stop laughing and start whispering and looking scared to death.
Mine was at that old house with the collapsed staircase. We set a recorder upstairs and left it for 10 minutes. When we played it back later, we heard footsteps going toward the recorder. Loud, clear, like boots on wood.
And at that point, I will also mention that we were outside and no one was inside.
That's when you realize this equipment isn't just for show. Sometimes it catches things you didn't even know happened.
Obviously, not every hit is paranormal. Batteries drain faster in old buildings. EMF can go wild from bad wiring. But the trick is staying skeptical and open-minded at the same time.
Exactly. We're not out here to prove ghosts exist. We're here to experience, document, and figure out what we can't explain. If you're new to investigating, don't feel like you need to drop hundreds of dollars right away.
No. You can honestly start with a basic recorder app on your phone, a flashlight, and maybe a cheap EMF meter.
And your best tool is still observation. Your senses, your intuition, paying attention to changes in the environment.
If you do start building a kit, focus on reliability. Test everything before you take it out, and always note environmental factors, power sources, temperature, airflow, all of that.
And for the love of everything that is good in this world, bring extra batteries, always. Because if you don't, they'll die in the second something interesting happens. That's infuriating.
Every time, every single time, without fail. I swear, I feel like the spirits love draining them, and then as soon as they know that the batteries have died, they do something interesting, and we'll look over at the camera and the light is off.
Literally. That's a peek inside how we use our gear, what we trust, and what sometimes just looks spooky for show.
If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment and tell us which tool you'd want to see us test next, or if you've ever caught something weird on your own gear.
And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you follow us so you don't miss next week's episode. We're talking about haunted hospitals, asylums, and the energy they leave behind.
Thank you for tuning in to Dead Frequency Radio. Stay curious, stay respectful, and as always, keep your recorders rolling.
Because you never know who might be listening.